Welcome, night wanderers. You're here to relax, to let go, to drift into a peaceful sleep. Or maybe something else is waiting for you in the dark. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night feeling like someone was watching? Have you ever heard a whisper when you were completely alone? Tonight, I'll guide you through the shadows. 5 terrifying bedtime horror stories. Some say horror helps them sleep. Others, well, they never wake up. So take a deep breath. Let your body relax and listen closely, because you might not be sleeping alone tonight. If you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Now, let's begin. Story number 1. The Whispering Wardrobe. Lena had one rule before she went to bed. The closet door must be shut. It had been that way since she was a child, though she never knew why. It was just a feeling, a quiet instinct that told her it was safer that way. One night at 3:12 a.m., she woke up. The room was still, bathed in cold moonlight. Then she noticed it. The closet door was slightly open. A sliver of darkness peeked through the crack. She stared at it, heart pounding. Had she forgotten to close it? She sat up, grabbed her phone, and turned on the flashlight. The light sliced into the open space inside. Empty. Just clothes. Just shadows. She let out a breath, got up, and firmly shut the door, locked it just in case, crawled back under the covers. Then, just as she was about to fall asleep, tap, tap, tap. A sound from the closet, a slow, deliberate tapping. Her eyes shot open. She turned over, gripping the sheets. The door was still closed. No movement, no sound. Had she imagined it? Then, as she strained her ears in the silence, she heard it again. A whisper, software faint, coming from inside the closet. Lena. Her breath stopped. The voice was weak, fragile. Come closer. The sheets felt like ice against her skin. She could hear her pulse, a frantic drum in her ears. Then she heard the door handle turning. She ran. By the time her parents came rushing in, the closet door was wide open, empty. But from that night on, every single night at 3:12 a.m., the whispering returned. Let's begin the second story. Don't open your eyes. Leo had suffered from sleep paralysis since he was a teenager. The feeling of waking up, unable to move, trapped in his own body while shadows loomed in the corners. It was terrifying. But he had learned to control his fear. Until one night, the voices started. At first, they were just whispers, low, incoherent murmurs. But then, he heard it. I know you can hear me. His chest tightened. I know you can see me. His body was frozen. His eyes were shut, but he felt a presence. Standing right beside the bed. I'm getting closer. The whisper was just inches from his ear. Leo tried to move, tried to scream. Nothing. His breathing was fast, shallow. He felt the air shift, something bending closer. Then cold fingers brushed against his forehead. In pure terror, his body jolted awake. His room was empty, silent, but his closet door was open. And in the mirror's reflection, there was a dark figure standing right behind him. Now, moving on to story number 3. The Shadow That Follows. Tom was used to strange rental rules. His new landlord had only one. Never leave the window open at night. Tom didn't think much of it. The apartment was old, the walls thin. And he figured the rule was to keep out bugs or thieves. His first night was peaceful until he woke up at 3 a.m. Something was wrong. His body felt heavy, like the air around him was dense, thick. Then he noticed the window. It was open. His stomach dropped. He was sure, absolutely sure, that he had closed it before bed. Slowly, he turned his head toward the foot of his bed, and there, standing in the moonlight, was a figure, tall, motionless, staring. Its limbs were long, too long, fingers reaching nearly to its knees. It had no features, no eyes, just a black, shifting void where a face should be. Tom couldn't move. The figure tilted its head, slow and unnatural, as if studying him. Then, without a sound, it took a step forward. Tom shot up, flipping on the light. The figure was gone. The window was shut. The next night, he nailed the window closed. But at 3 a.m., he woke up again. And this time, the shadow wasn't at the window. It was standing right beside his bed. Time for the fourth story. The Reflection That Watches. Sarah's grandmother always told her to never sleep facing a mirror. They see you when you're most vulnerable. She never believed in superstitions. But when she moved into her new apartment, the only place to put her bed was across from the vanity mirror. The first night, she felt uneasy, like she was being watched. At 3:33 a.m., she woke up. Something wasn't right. The room was silent. Her body was still. But in the mirror, her reflection wasn't lying down. It was sitting up, staring at her. Her breath hitched. Slowly, her reflection raised a hand and waved. Sarah didn't move. Then the reflection started to get out of bed. Her body finally obeyed her fear. She grabbed a sheet and threw it over the mirror, heart pounding. But as she lay awake, she could hear it. A soft, slow tapping on the glass from the inside. And now, our last story of the night. Someone else is sleeping in your bed. Michael had been living alone for months, or at least that's what he thought. Lately, he had been waking up feeling off, like the bed was colder on one side, like something had moved while he was sleeping. One night, he decided to test a theory. He placed his phone on the floor and snapped a picture under the bed, just in case. Then he checked the photo. His blood ran cold. The picture wasn't empty. There, in the darkness beneath the bed, was a face. Pale, eyes wide, mouth stretched into a grin, staring directly at the camera. Michael didn't sleep in that bed again. But weeks later, the new tenants moved in. And one night, at 3 a.m., they, too, started hearing breathing beneath the bed. Still awake? Or did something keep you up? Maybe it was just the stories, or maybe it was the feeling that someone was watching. That faint creak in the hallway. That shadow in the corner of your room that wasn't there before. But don't worry, it's probably nothing. Probably. If you made it this far, congratulations. You survived the night's tales. But the real question is, will you survive the night itself? Sleep well, if you can. And before you turn off the lights, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because next time, the story might be about you.